All right, cool. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Good morning. Is there, according to the schedule, we've got Nick coming on too. Do you know if he's going to make it or no?
Yeah, I think he just came on right now.
Oh, yeah, I just see him. Okay. Nick, hang on a second. I'm going to ask you to unmute yourself. And then there we go. So, all right.
Hey,
Well, good morning. Good morning. The way this will work, guys, and for you guys listening on YouTube, about the first 15 minutes will be live. If you want to jump in and participate, just head on over to Revero.health. You can sign up for free and be part of the community. Otherwise, it'll come out as a podcast in a couple of weeks and you can listen to it. So if you want to be part of the discussion, you can jump in here. And just for you guys know, um, everybody else is muted except for you two guys, so we don't have a lot of feedback. And they may want to type in some questions. And if you guys that are in the chat, please feel free to type in the questions and I'll do my best to get them asked. All right. So first of all, thank you guys for being here. It's always great, and particularly on a Sunday. I know a lot of people have better things to do on a Sunday than hang out on a Zoom call, but we do this every day of the week, basically. It's just part of what this community provides. But you guys have made kind of I assume a new product in the sort of the beef rinds category, which I thought was pretty cool. And you guys sent me some to sample, and I was actually quite surprised how good they were. My expectations were not that high, but they were completely exceeded. So anyway, just tell me a little bit about each of you guys, Javon and Nick. Tell me about your background, why you decided to pursue this, and then we can kind of get into some questions, if that's okay.
Yeah, I I can go, and then Nick, you can go. So yeah, I was born and raised in Seattle, as was he. We met in high school, and I'm officially an accountant by trade, which you would probably never guess. Um, and uh, and about like a year ago, I actually found you through YouTube. I couldn't tell you how, probably the algorithm or whatever. And this is what got me on to like kind of follow the carnivore movement. And so when I do something like 100%. And so started following you, and then others in the space like Paul Saladino, and then I was just thriving on carnivore. And then so I started purchasing like a half a cow from like local farmers and stuff, just because it was just more economical than going to the grocery store all the time, and it was cheaper too. And so when I would start purchasing from him, I got interested in organs, and because they're just so nutrient dense. And so I asked him, I was like, hey, like what do you do with the organs? I'm interested. And so he was just like, hey, I throw them away. And so I'm like, you throw them away, like? And so I was like, yeah, I'll take them all. And so I started taking organs, and then the next couple of trips after that, I asked him what else he throws away. And then so he said he throws away the cowhides. And so I was very shocked to hear this. And so I said, I'll take one and I'll figure out, what I want to do with it. And so me and Nick, we just started experimenting to try to see if we can, make beef rinds. I saw that they were being made in Indonesia. And so I was just like, hey, let's give it a shot. And so it was difficult because the hair, removing the hair was probably the hardest part from, when we're doing it just at like Nick's house and, just prototyping and try to see what we can make, for ourselves. But, it took us a while, but once we figured that out, we started, making them for ourselves, and they were delicious. And we're just like, hey, like this could be a thing. This could be a thing, especially because, we're going to be solving a few issues here, especially the waste issue. I did a little bit of research, and I figured out that, millions of cowhides are just being thrown away every year into landfills. And so just because of the leather demand has just plummeted due to like cheaper synthetic vegan alternatives. And so, I just felt like it was so clear for us to kind of spearhead this mission against waste. And yeah, here we are.
That's an excellent point. Yeah, I want to just I'll give Nick a chance to introduce himself, and I've got a bunch of follow-up questions on what you just discussed. So,
Okay,
cool. Yeah, so I'm also, like Javon said, I'm also from Seattle. I actually studied finance, and then after that, I got really interested in computer science. But before I graduated at UW, I started a company that sells camera equipment. So I made like this little prism lens. I took it to Kickstarter like 6 years ago, and so I've been using that to kind of learn how to do entrepreneurial stuff for like this last 6 or 7 years. And then so I've just always kept my eyes open and just like been interested in what's going on in this space, especially like the health and nutrition space, especially with like the carnivore movement and organs and that kind of stuff. um and then so yeah, when Javon brought the idea up, I got really really interested in it. We started like prototyping around just for fun, and then after a while people really liked it. Like our friends and family really liked it, and we were getting super excited about that. And because of that, we started like trying to grow a little bit more. But yeah, that's basically how like we got here.
Interesting. You guys are both finance guys now in the food business, so that's pretty cool. Are you guys both still in Seattle? Is that where you're at now, or where do you guys located? Are you guys?
Yeah, we're
Yeah,
both.
I'm in Seattle. Like as you can see, it's pretty like dark outside. It looks like it's probably raining where you are there too. Yeah, it's like the first day of rain in like the last what, 2 months or something.
Yeah, I'm in Snohomish, so I'm sure you guys are familiar with that. So I'm probably 20 miles away from you guys, most likely somewhere in there. And yeah, it was a little rainy. Took the dogs for a walk this morning, got a little bit wet, but that's okay. That's part of the new environment. But all right, let me ask you. So this is a really interesting thing. So I guess they were being made in Indonesia, which I guess is interesting. But one of the things, you know, I did not realize that a lot of cow hides were going to waste because it's a huge, incredibly valuable resource. And, just from the leather, and, it makes no sense to me not to buy leather. I don't understand it because otherwise this resource just goes to waste in the trash can, which, leather is a very valuable commodity. But if it is going to waste and you guys are able to turn that into not only a nutrition, but good tasting nutrition, then why the heck not? And so let me ask you, a little bit about the process, because you'd mentioned that hair. Nobody wants to eat cow hair, I'm assuming. I don't think we can. But how does that work? How did you figure out I guess in Indonesia they kind of figured out. But what did you guys have to do to get? I mean, I guess it's just skin and fat basically is what these not pork, sorry. Beef rinds are. So they're similar. They had a very similar. I thought they had a very similar kind of presentation. But talk a little bit about the process if you don't mind.
Yeah. I can say a little bit, and then Nick, if I miss something, you can chime in. So at first, I mean, I don't know, last year, I don't know what the heck I was doing. I picked up 2 cowhides. I brought them to my dad's, and like I was boiling water, pouring it on, trying to scrape it off. I'm like, this is going to work because I want to try these beef rinds. So that didn't work. And so I looked into how they do it in Indonesia, and they burn it off. So I went and bought a blowtorch, and and I rented a power washer. And so we used the blowtorch, and we hung it up on like a crane, the cowhide, and we just started to burn it. And then right after we burn it, we pressure wash the hair off, and we tried that, didn't work. And so then we tried boiling it, which that worked. Once we boil it, that after like an hour, like the hair would just peel off, and then the fat would come off too, because you got to remove a majority of the fat too, so it doesn't come out hard in the finished product. So yeah, once we figured that out, that was good enough for us to eat it. We were like, hey, we'll try this, and then so that's how we consumed it until we perfected the recipe enough to feel like we could like sell this to customers. And so then we were like, hey, let's find like a food grade way to do this. And so through a lot of research and a lot of reaching out to people, we found 100% natural enzymes that we can essentially put the enzymes into like a soak tank or like a mechanical washer with the hides. And then after a while, it basically agitates the hair follicles, and it removes the hair after, a few hours. So did I miss anything, Nick?
I don't think so. Yeah, it's just crazy to think of in Indonesia, actually, the way they do it commercially still is by burning it. And it's like we tried that, and it's so much work, and it's hard to like not scald the skin itself. Um, so yeah, it's much more of a manual process over there, but the enzymes work very well. They get all the hair off, and it's totally clean. Um, and yeah, the first beef rinds that we made, a lot of times there would be like little tiny hairs in the beef rinds, which like, people do not like hair in their food. So we never sold that to anybody. But now it's perfect. It's super quick.
Yeah, that's. Yeah, I'm just curious. I mean, unless you'd been to Indonesia, I mean, I would have never thought about it as a food product. What made you think, hey, let's eat some cowhides? I mean, how did you come up with that idea?
Man, uh, I don't know. It was kind of it didn't happen just like that. It was like a evolution, because I just started seeing these skin snacks come out, right? The chicken skin snacks or whatever. The salmon skins, the fried salmon skins. I just saw, and I'm like, man, like something's going on here. And I'm like, why isn't there, beef rinds? Why isn't there beef skin snacks? Because this is going to be healthier than, well, for my diet. I was like, hey, this is the only thing that I'd want to eat, right? Is the beef rinds. I don't typically do well with pork, and I know a lot of people who don't. So I'm like, that kind of happened along the way, and then I think everything kind of just happened together at the same time, and it kind of just made sense. And so I was like, okay, so it's like, and I know people are like, oh, it's like, oh, we're chewing leather, you know what I mean? Like, like we're eating leather now. We've got a lot of those comments, but a lot of people like, pork was used for leather as well, right? Pork, pork skin. That's why they used to call footballs pigskin or whatever. But if they've since changed over. But yeah, I just didn't see any difference. I didn't care about the association with leather. That's just something that didn't even occur to me that to be an issue. As long as we can make something tasty, it's like, and hopefully better than pork rinds, then it's just like, it doesn't really matter, if the past associations with it.
Well,
Yeah.
I mean, I will. Oh, go ahead, Nick.
Oh, I was just gonna say, and I think most people realize or associate beef with being the highest quality meat product. So it just seems insane. Like you have like what a lot of people associate pork as being an inferior meat product. Why are so many people eating the pork skin and nobody's eating the beef skin? It just didn't really make that much sense.
Yeah, I mean, certainly that's an area of contention. Some people are very happy with pork, and pork is the most
That's
commonly
true.
eaten meat around the world, particularly in Asia. But what I was thinking is, there are a lot of people that, um, you know, like my girlfriend, or we've been together 9 years, doesn't eat pork for religious reasons, and there are huge swaths of the world where that's the case. If you look at the Jewish faith and then the Islamic faith, pork is kind of off the menu for all those guys, and so you may have a market of a few billion. And I think there's probably 1.5, maybe close to 2 billion people that fall in that category, if I'm not mistaken. So this could have a huge global impact. If you guys expand enough, and hopefully love to see you guys be successful and do that. Let me ask you about the hides that are just being thrown away. I mean, how did you? I mean, I know there's a huge processor up here I think in Washington somewhere. I mean, how do you get those skins? Are they saying, hey, let's throw them to give them to you, or how do you get them? Or is that
Yeah.
proprietary? I don't want to give away any trade secrets here.
Well, Nick, I'll let Nick answer that. He's does quite a bit of the sourcing.
Yeah, sure. I mean, it is pretty insane because, yeah, like we said earlier, we had heard rumors that these farmers were just throwing the skins away, and we didn't know if it was true or not because, it seems kind of crazy, especially because it didn't actually seem like they'd actually be worth nothing. It's like, it's a skin. You could probably like ship it internationally or whatever. But every single farm that we ended up going to, we would chat with the farmers and we're like, so what are you doing with these? And a lot of times they would just bring us like out back and they would show us. And there was just like after the cows are slaughtered, they would just have the skins sitting there and they would tell us that they're either being soon brought to like the dump, or some places were just like burning them. So it was just like, yeah, it was totally crazy to have that rumor that we had heard actually be true. And so a lot of farmers were actually really happy for us to come pick it up from them, because um, they actually had to pay to dispose it. So just because we were getting it off their hands, it was a little bit more convenient for them. Now what we're doing is like we try to vet the farms that we go to. So we try to go to like the highest quality farms where they have like only like grass-fed cows on like large pastures away from like roads and pollution and stuff like that. And to those farms, we're able to pay the farmers now. So it's kind of like we want the business to be full circle. We know that these like smaller farmers are getting like beaten up by these big factory farms. So by being able to help them, because they have higher quality products anyways, by being able to help them, we can kind of give back to the community and also offer a higher quality product.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and that's a great. Sorry, I'll jump in here, Javon. I mean, that's a great thought, I think. And one of the things is, well, most farmers are not slaughtering on site; they have to send it to a regional or local processor, some of them USDA. So are they saying, we're going to hold aside the skins for you guys after they can tell what to do with the skins at the processing facility? I guess I would assume.
So we are working with the USDA plant to set up deherring on site, but we have been basically sourcing from the small farms individually and packaging the hides in a proprietary way to basically get them to our deherring site. And so, yeah, but in the future we will be working with a USDA plant to do it on site, because it'll just be more economical. But it's just there's a lot of work to be done to get to that point. So
Yeah. Yeah.
we're deherring them at our facility.
Yeah. And it's actually pretty crazy. We didn't know how it worked at all before either. But actually, for a lot of these farms, they have like these mobile slaughterhouses. So they have like people that come out and like kill the cows on the owner's farm there themselves. So we can still just go to the farms many times and grab the hides there. But it depends. The industry is like, they have a lot of ways to do things now.
Do you guys, I mean, do you guys have a sample? Can you show somebody one of these pork rinds? I keep calling pork rinds, my bad. Can you show somebody one of these beef rinds, what they look like? Do you have a sample that you have with you guys, anybody, hopefully? Because I mean, most people would be surprised by what they look like and that type of stuff. Do you have anything you could show as a sample?
Javon, do you have anything there? I can check.
I think you do. I don't have any here.
Yeah, let me check.
Yeah, I mean, because I think it was, when I got them, I was really surprised. And you guys have, I know you guys have made a couple different formulations and flavors.
Yeah,
I think many people, yeah, go ahead.
The flavors, I didn't even think twice about it. I literally was just like, hey, like, this sounds good, hot pepper, not much thought went into it, but they turned out to be really tasty.
Yeah, so these are our bags. I'll open it up.
Yeah, open one up and show us, because I think people would want to see the product. And yeah, it looks very similar to, like I said, it's very similar looking to a pork rind, and it's got that same kind of crunch. I don't know, maybe you can crunch. Crunch into one. I can see it in the back.
Pretty hard to see one though.
Yeah, what's the nutritional labeling on these things? Is it more heavily protein, heavily fat? Have you guys had to do nutritional labeling on this yet?
Yeah, I mean, that's actually the awesome thing about these. The great thing about using skin or eating skin in general, it's like I'm sure everybody here is familiar with like the whole collagen movement. So these are mostly protein. Most of the protein in them, or the most abundant amino acid in these, is glycine. So I think, it's glycine, and then there's a bunch of collagen in them. So I'm sure everybody's familiar with like glycine. It's supposedly really good for sleep, all kinds of important health aspects associated with it. And then the collagen is really good for your joints, your skin, etc. So people just take that in a supplement form, but if they just buy the product, or if they are just eating a lot of skin in general, they're still getting that either way. And so, yeah, there's that. And then we fry it in tallow. So there's a bit of fat, but it's mostly the protein and fat, zero carbs.
Yeah, and then I know you mentioned you have a couple, but you have a salt only version where it's just salt by itself. Is that true or no?
Yeah, we have original.
Okay, because when you
Original.
guys sent me some, and I don't remember the original one wasn't there. I was just curious if it was, because I know a lot of people in here. Some people have sensitivities to certain spices. I mean, most people don't, and the flavors you had were quite good. Actually, I quite enjoyed them. But I know for some people will want to use these like they use pork rinds to make breading and to make crusts and stuff like that. Like a lot of people will, use them for whatever reasons. You could use like panko breading for. They can do very similar, I would imagine. Have you guys experimented with that, or has anybody you've heard of tried using these as parts of recipes yet, or is it too early for that?
So we know a lot of customers have experimented. But we have we experimented? I can't remember. Nick, did we do any
Well, we've
experiments?
made some, yeah, like actually one of the parts of getting this business up and running, because like every business nowadays is kind of just a web business. So it's like really important for us, the SEO and all that kind of stuff. So what we've been working on is a bunch of recipes for the blog. So we made a couple recipes here, but it's pretty hard to make something that looks awesome in a blog, like those recipe blog posts that you see. So we made a couple here, but the photography and all that kind of stuff, the writing was like maybe not the best. So we're hiring it out right now. But yeah, there are people doing things like the rind breadcrumbs and stuff like that, and like stuffing and stuff like that. So it's pretty interesting seeing what creative people are doing.
Yeah, and I would imagine that you could do essentially anything you can do with pork rind, breading crumbs, you could do with the beef rind breading crumbs. And the reason we didn't send you the original salt only is because at that time we didn't have the bag for it, because there was a bag mix up. They gave us a bag that said no salt on it, but it was actually with salt. So we just renamed it to original, and yeah, we finally got the bags in, so we have it now.
Nice. Well, hopefully one day I'll get to try those guys out because those are quite good. I'm just trying to think, because I'm always supportive of people that are doing stuff like this and trying to figure out how to succeed. I know, for instance, Maria Emmerich is quite a crafty chef, and so she does a lot of stuff, and that might be someone that you might want to send this to as a way to see what she can incorporate. Because like I said, there are a lot of people that just don't do pork for whatever reasons. And I don't think pork skins are bad. I mean, and again, I think it's also an important point what you fry them in, because some of the pork skins are fried in canola oil and some of the stuff which many people would have problems with, either philosophically or even physically perhaps. So when did you guys start? How long have you guys been going now?
About a year. Last year we started prototyping. We didn't start selling till 2021 though. But yeah, it was a long road of all the R&D. After figure out deherring, cooking them with the raw skin, that was like took a super long time, because at first we tried to do just follow the pork rind way, like how you would cook pork rinds, but it didn't turn out that well. So we experimented for forever until we came up with a really good product. So
Yeah, and just
What go ahead.
I was just gonna say one thing to your point, Sean, which you found is super interesting is, yeah, the oil that you fry it in is obviously super important. Um, but what we found out, like we've been talking to a lot of people in the industry and stuff like that, is a lot of even like the larger companies, what they do is like, it is really a lot cheaper if you reuse the cooking oil for a long time, like just don't change it, or it's faster if you use the oil at a higher temperature. So even a lot of the larger companies some employees that we've talked to, at some of them say that the oil that they're cooking the pork rinds in, or whatever rind products, are often like oxidated, which obviously is terrible for health. So it's just pretty interesting. Like when you get something off the shelf, you don't know exactly what you're getting. But that's one of the things that we really, really try to focus on, is making sure that, we spend extra, and we spend extra on the oil, and we're changing it all the time, because that's like, oxidated oil, it sucks, like that human beings don't have like a taste receptor so that they know when oil is oxidated, but they don't. And so if you're ingesting it, you're just doing something terrible for your body, and you don't even know it. But that's why it's really important to buy products from like companies that you trust.
Yeah, I'm just because you said you try to do it just like a pork rind. I'm just out of curiosity, how are pork rinds typically prepared? What is a typical way that's been done?
So typically, if you're sourcing, you're gonna source pork skin like just raw fresh pork skin that's already dehaired, because they have special dehairing machines for pigs. They're just these huge machines that they basically throw the pig in, and it turns the pig, and it burns it, and it throws water on it, and it burns it, and it sprays water on it. That's kind of what we were trying to recreate when we were using the blowtorch, but didn't work as well, because pigs have, I think, a little bit thinner hair than cows. So basically, a pork manufacturer would source in the dehaired skin all ready to go. They basically put it through on a conveyor belt, and it goes through a dicer, and at the other end it comes out all diced, and then it would go into like a big vat of lard, pork lard, and then in this vat it's where it's cooked and dehydrated, and then after that they put it into like a continuous fryer, which fries it, and seasons it. Yeah.
And that doesn't work for beef.
So first off, we didn't have these big vats, when we were first starting out, we didn't have these big vats. These are like vats that hold thousands of pounds of tallow or lard. And we just didn't have access to these at the time, because that's basically people who are supplying to like Costco and Whole Foods and all these large retailers. So essentially instead of a vat, we used a method of boiling and dehydrating in a dehydrator. And so we had to purchase like 10 to 20 dehydrators just to get any type of volume out. So that's essentially what we do, I guess. We dice them, we boil them, and then we dehydrate them, and then we fry them. It's quite a process. The lead time on these is a while, depending on the amount of volume that we're going to do.
Yeah, and I guess some people have been checking the website, and it says you guys are sold out at the moment or something like that. Is that accurate, or is the demand going up to where you guys are having?
Yeah. So we had some equipment issues recently, and so basically all operations kind of had to cease until we can order this new machine. And I don't know if you're familiar, but shipping times right now during COVID are just ridiculous. And so that's kind of why we didn't want to sell anymore on the website, because we're having trouble fulfilling the current orders. We honestly, when I sent you the samples, we weren't the most prepared for you to post it. I thought you were going to give us some type of a notification, or warn us, but it just all comes out once. You can't prepare for those type of things, and that's okay. We're dealing with it the best we can. So, but if people want, they can give us their email address and sign up, and we'll definitely reach out when they're available. We're looking at no more than a week or two. So.
Well, I'm glad posting it got you guys some attention. I mean, like I said, I fully want to support folks that I think are making a difference, and I think this is going to be a truly useful product and a healthy product, and it's something I can certainly get behind. And it's good to see other entrepreneurs doing it. I think we can all support each other. Like what I'm doing is entrepreneurial as well with this community, and I think hopefully it'll come to fruition. That I think it has. And you've got, I don't know, do you know what the pork rind market is? Do you know what the global market of pork rind is? What it is? Is it a $100 million market or $1 billion market? I'm not even sure.
Nick,
I've no, I've read it from various places that it's several hundred million to potentially a few billion. So
Yeah.
it's big. I mean, um, yeah, I guess it depends on the circles that you run in. I don't know if it seems like it's that big here in the US because like I don't know if like every time I just like when I go out or if I'm with friends, how often they opt for pork rinds over like a bag of chips. But it seems like it's popular. I mean, it's a very fractional portion of the overall snacking and just chip industry. So people really like
But
them.
I mean, I would say most grocery stores that I have been into do have some one or two pork rind products on the shelves. So I mean, it's probably within, in most grocery stores, not maybe regional or maybe parts of the country where it's not popular. But like I said, I think, particularly globally, you've got a huge potential market, in the Middle East and some of these other places where pork is not traditionally consumed. And
yeah.
so,
Sorry if I could just chime in.
yeah.
So we've been reached out to by like distributors in a few Muslim countries, and so but the thing is, they have strict standards on. Some of them have strict standards on how the meat has to be slaughtered, and so that's going to be a hurdle for us in the future if we want to make a product that's halal. I guess I think that's how you say it.
Yeah. I mean, the kosher or halal, and there are kosher and halal processors in the U.S. for sure. And you might want. I know because there. I mean, I know, for instance, Costco will source halal products for their customers, and so those exist in the U.S. And so it might be something to look into. Now, again, it gets to where, do you find a regenerative farm that's also doing halal, and so I can see where the hurdles are, but it certainly may be worth it for that size of market. If you're looking at a potentially a billion people that might be customers, that may make sense. Of course, international stuff is tough with food, my understanding. So a lot of stuff, but you guys got a lot of you guys. I can see nothing but upward growth for you guys. Particularly if you do continue to put out a good product. And I think one of the things and this is something that's near and dear to my heart. I think if you do something that's quality that people want, then it'll sell itself, and you can you can sleep at night. Rather than if you're a used car salesman, you got to continually justify your product. I just don't even know that I want to be in a business like that. But if you're helping people or providing good nutrition, it's quality nutrition. I think that's gonna be very easy to sell. But anyway, so what? I guess more flavors. I mean, just expand the base. What are the goals here for the next, say, year or so? Do you guys have any thoughts on that?
What do you think, Nick?
Yeah, we definitely like there are, it's crazy. Actually, you made a point that I thought was interesting with the halal regenerative farms. It's actually crazy to think actually in Washington state, there are only about a dozen regenerative farms total. So it's super rare. It's very, very common for these factory farms to exist, and most consumers get their beef that way. But once you're going for like sustainable, like grass-fed stuff like that, the options diminish very, very quickly. But yeah, so with what we're up to next, when we are going to these farms, like these smaller, like specialty farms in a way, what we are really interested in is figuring out the other parts of the animal that are being wasted. So actually, even still, um, most Americans don't have much of a palate for organs. So a lot of the organs are still getting thrown away, or they're being used for purposes that are not totally commercially viable. Like a lot of the organs end up in like dog chow and stuff like that, where farmers are selling the organs for like pennies on the dollar of what we think those organs should actually be worth. So we want to figure out how to make those into tasty products too. Like, how do you make like a kidney and like a beef kidney into like a tasty product, right? Like maybe you could do something interesting with like dehydrating it or frying it, etc. So we want to try to do more stuff like that, where it's like we could support small farmers and add to like less or reduce global waste. But yeah, we've tried like beef ice cream, but yeah, TBD on that one.
Well, I mean, there are some people that have messed around with tallow, including myself, using tallow as a fat instead of cream for ice cream, and it's, you know, it's not it's certainly not exactly ice cream, but you could potentially make a reasonably palatable snack out of it, depending on, you know, it may take some playing with to be able to do that, but certainly I don't, you know, I continue to be creative, but I mean, like I said, I think that just the beef rind, add them, and again, if I hadn't tasted these, I would still be skeptical, but I mean, you guys certainly won me over just from a taste standpoint. So for you guys that are listening here and you want to try them, I think they're worth trying for sure. What's been the, you know, have you guys had any sort of like big screw ups or mistakes, or like, what the heck, you know, we going down one road and figure out this is a disaster along the way, or has it been pretty smooth sailing?
Yeah, there have been a lot of problems for sure. Like, I don't know, like if we were to do like a top five, I mean, one of the biggest ones was like sometimes like the cow, like actually the this age of the cow that you source from actually really matters. So we've had problems like, for whatever reason, younger cows, the beef rinds that they create, they don't end up as like fluffy or tasty. So there was like one time where we spent like weeks trying to source this young like these younger cows, and we spent like weeks cooking it, and then we ended up wasting a lot of time because the product just wasn't that good. So there have been like numerous instances like that where we just invest like weeks into like a process, ends up not working. But that one was a little bit painful because there were some people waiting on it, but we only want to ship out a product if it's good. So
Yeah, I mean, with regarding the age of the cows, I mean, you know, the traditional, I guess, feedlot finished cow usually goes to slaughter quite a bit earlier than, say, a grass finished cow. Usually it's something 16, 18 months, whereas a grass finished cow might typically be 24 to 30 months in general. And maybe it could be the feed in addition to the age, or maybe because of that. I don't know. Have you tried both? And
I was
what was
thinking the
the age
same.
of the cows that you were,
Yeah, I was thinking it
what's
could be the
that?
feed. I was thinking it could be the feed because these particular cows came from one particular farm, and so I was more leaning towards that. But they were substantially younger and smaller animals than we normally get. So yeah, it could be. It's definitely one of the two. So uh,
And the other thing I'd wonder about is the breed, you know, and, you know, because obviously breed's going to make a difference in some things, you know, I don't know, but thickness of skin, you know, some cows, you know, particularly like black cows have, they tend to be more cold weather cows. And I would maybe guess they have thicker skin, but I'm not sure on that. I mean, well, I don't know if anyone in here is an expert on that, but I know there's warm weather cows and cold weather cows, and I'm sure they have different, skin adaptations for that. Does breed seem to make a difference to you guys, or have you guys been able to discern much with that yet?
not that we've noticed from the even from the male or the female cows, the dairy cows or the the bulls, the males, even large black ones, all kinds of breeds that I've seen came across seem to basically make the same product, except that recent happening that Nikk spoke about those cows that came from the one farm, and they seem to be quite a lot younger and smaller. The hides were a lot smaller, and so we're just thinking maybe the skin wasn't fully uh, developed. It definitely was a lot thinner. So yeah, it's something we're still trying to figure out.
yeah, but we are thinking of maybe doing like Wagyu beef rinds. So that might be a thing.
Well, I mean, it's interesting, I mean, about a year ago, I started using some Wagyu tallow to cook with, and some people got an interest in this. And there's a guy named, I'm blanking on his name now. But he goes by the Mad Scientist Barbecue, and he's been using tallow to do his briskets in, and it's improved. But interesting, I had one of the ranchers, a guy named Jeff Smith, who works for a company called Colorado Craft. He's the owner of Colorado Craft Beef, and his wife basically do all the work for it. They're kind of a two-person operation, and their meat is only coming from steers, so only male cows, And I asked him, well, why is that? And he said, well, actually, males deposit fat in a way different than female cows do. Female cows tend to deposit more of their fat, particularly postpartum, around their viscera, and so they have more visceral fat, whereas the males tend to produce more intramuscular fat, which I thought was interesting. And most of us that appreciate a steak like the good marbling. So I didn't realize it. So I don't know if male versus female skin would be different. So I'm just interesting on those considerations. And I guess if they're throwing away millions of cowhides, you probably can get somewhat selective in what you use depending on how big of a sourcing pool you have.
Yeah, I'm not sure about gender so much, but definitely the area of the cow, like the flank, and so the area is like towards the back of the cow, maybe like the sirloin area. Those areas tend to have like thicker skin, and because of that, we try to get we like right now we just get the whole hides, but like if we were to have a choice, like maybe if we had the scale or something, we would probably opt for like trying to only source like the flank or the short plate or the sirloin areas of the cow because it's just a better yield. But right now, since the whole thing's being thrown away, we'll take all of it.
Yeah, and how many, I'm just wondering how many, how many cow hides to go per product, how many bags of rinds could you guys make, and how many ounces per hide, any idea yet?
Um, I think I want to say one hide could probably make 100 bags. That's around the average that I've noticed.
Yeah, but I mean,
Yeah.
it also depends because like cows are kind of like people. It's like there's quite a lot of variation in size. So I think we've had like some huge cows where it's been like maybe 200 bags, and then we've had like some smaller ones.
Yeah.
Sorry, you said you guys are waiting on a replacement part for equipment or something. When do you anticipate being back and up and running? And are you guys shipping internationally, all 50 states? What is the details on obtaining the product?
Yeah, so that replacement part is supposed to get here this week, at the end of the week, and so then we could start, basically production again. And like I said, the lead time on these is it's like 4 to 5 days sometimes to get a large batch through the process of getting into bags. And so yeah, we're thinking probably about 2 weeks. Yeah, because if at the end of this week coming up, we get the part, production starts again 4 to 5 days for a batch. So probably about 2 weeks. Yeah, and we are shipping internationally. We have been trying to figure out ways to figure out like because duties like after shipping, duties have been a real issue. The additional duties that are assessed, at like borders. So we've been really trying to figure out strategies on how to reduce those. And so Nikk is onto something, I think, on that front. I hope.
Yeah, well, it's just interesting how it's like, the at first we were just cooking this for fun, and then we wanted to sell it, but it's like once the cooking process in its own, figuring that out was only part of the battle. I mean, a lot of the battle now is like just international shipping. if you have customers in Japan, how do you get it to them without them spending more for shipping than they do for the product? So that's still like an open question. It's still really hard to do a lot of that stuff. Or when you're like shipping to like a grocery store, like how do you make sure, it has to be insured and it has to be cheap enough to get it on the pallet. And so all that stuff, it's like an open question, really is not that easy to figure out right now. But we're making it work. We're starting to fulfill our, like, we've been doing international orders for a couple months. We weren't doing it for a while because it was just so expensive, but we've like changed the process. So now we're finally everywhere.
That's awesome to hear. I'm just thinking that, again, if you guys expand and become a large, large business team, might have to open a plant over in, somewhere overseas to do that type of stuff, which would make sense, just to save on some of those international shipping costs, particularly finding halal slaughter places throughout the Middle East and stuff like that. But what, you said there's a lead time, so 4 to 5 days. So can you briefly describe the process? I mean, you get a hide, you got to purchase a hide, you secure it. Are you doing it all? I mean, do you have are you doing it in the backyard? Are you doing it at a little facility now? I mean, where are you guys at right now? Is it local here in Seattle? And can I come visit?
So no, yeah, we're doing everything in a facility. We're just renting time at, and so, yeah, I mean, it takes about a day to do the dehairing, and then it takes, I'd say probably another day to do the boiling, another day to do dehydrate. Well, at least 2 days dehydrating, because 48 hours is the sweet spot for dehydrating. And then the frying is a whole nother day. So that's why I say it's 4 to 5 days. Yeah, other than that, what do you think, Nick, as far as the processing, or, should we invite them to come visit?
Shawn, I don't know. Are you ready to see our facility? It's pretty advanced, high tech. Just kidding. It's still getting set up, but yeah, of course, we'd love to have you.
Well, yeah, I'll tell you, when you guys get settled, let me know. I'll come check it out. Since it's just down the road, like I said, I like to see, particularly local stuff. It's cool to see that. I know there's a rancher that I want to go visit he's in Oregon. He's a dairy farmer in Oregon, so about 4 hours away. We'll make a little day trip, spend the night on the Oregon coast, and go see that in the near future. I'm flying out to North Carolina next week to visit visit a ranch for some other stuff. But yeah, it's good to see. And like I said, I wish you guys a great amount of success with this. I'm really excited about you guys doing this stuff. And let me ask, because we're just about through our time. I want to make sure you guys get a chance to, because I don't even think we mentioned the name of the product. Well, you kind of flashed it, the name of the website, name of the product, how they can order, any kind of particular. I think we might even have a link or a specialty code here in this community. I'm not sure. I think we do.
Yeah,
I believe, or maybe I think we do. I can't remember. Sorry.
No, I'm pretty sure you guys do. And so, yeah, if you go to Revero, then I think you go into the resources and then like the products or something to that effect. And there's a whole page of links, and we're one of the links. You can click on that link, and I believe you get 10 to 15% off. And then, yeah, and so, but currently right now, just sign up with your email, and then we'll reach out in a few weeks. And we appreciate everybody's patience, especially the customers that are currently waiting, because we know a lot of them are, kind of getting a little impatient, but it's totally understandable. We're trying our hardest, and we want to get these into customers' hands as fast as possible. And so, yeah, it's holycow.eco. It's not .com. It's so holycow.eco is the extension. Yeah. And, anything else that I'm missing, Nick, do you think?
I guess, yeah, just before you jump in, I want to just ask, I mean, and some people like this, I know they sometimes have, I call them the fun size, like the fun size candy bars where they're too small. And some people make, I've seen pork rinds where they come in the big bags. Do you guys have plans to do that? And maybe that would save you on packaging costs, because, making all those little bags may be less cost effective than having big bags for people that might want to use them. Because I imagine, if you're kind of bread up make a breaded chicken or something like that, you go through quite a few pork rinds or beef rinds, gosh. anyway, any thoughts on packaging sizes?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, if if we want to do like the whole bulk Costco thing, right? That kind of deal, we'd have to do larger packaging. So we're working on that currently. It's just, there's so much to do right now, I suppose is the problem. But yeah, the larger packages will be more economical for us and for customers. So we're excited to get that started soon. And that's so awesome, Shawn, that you get to go around and see so many farms and stuff. You'll have to bring us with you sometime.
That's good.
All right, guys. Well, I'll tell you what, this has been a pleasure. Anything else you guys want to say before we go? It's been an hour. I know everybody wants to get back to their Sunday, and thanks for being here.
None that I can think of, but I just want to say thank you for letting us come on, and and I just I hope the best for your community, and I think it's thriving as from what I've seen. So.
Yeah. Okay, guys. Thank you so much. Good luck to you, and I'm gonna come check out you guys' facility one of these in the near future. I just suspect. All right, guys. Take care. You guys have a great day. We'll see you back tomorrow. Everybody has a great rest of your weekend. Bye now.
Bye, everybody.
Join Revero.health for a 30-day free trial to get access to live Q&A with VIP guests, social community meetings, member discounts, low-carb healthcare providers list, forum, workouts, monthly challenges, early access to podcasts, recipes, carnivore diet guide, fasting guide, shred guide, and much more.